Ever feel like you're putting tons of time, effort, and money into your marketing, but nothing's really clicking? You've got a funnel that looks full, but your sales are just flat. Well, today we're going to break down how you can stop shouting into the void and actually start talking to the people who are ready and willing to buy. So, does this look familiar? It's a super frustrating spot to be in, right? You see all this activity, all these leads coming in, but it just doesn't turn into actual revenue. You're left scratching your head, wondering, what am I doing wrong? The answer might be simpler and way more surprising than you think. And there it is. That's the core of the problem. See, most marketing is all about casting the widest net possible. But the hard truth is, that means you're spending pretty much all of your resources, your time, your money, your energy, on people who were never going to be your customers in the first place. By trying to talk to everyone, you end up really connecting with no one. Okay, so what's the fix? Well, it's this powerful idea that honestly feels a little backwards at first. You have to go smaller. I mean, way smaller. It's time to stop thinking about the masses and start focusing on what some call your smallest viable audience. This, right here, is where everything starts to change. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Finding that one, single, perfect customer, the one who truly gets what you're doing, is infinitely more valuable than having 1,000 lukewarm leads who kinda, sorta get it. That one person, that's your compass. They're the ones who will lead you to more people just like them. So let's be super clear about what this really means. Your smallest viable audience isn't just a demographic. It's the core group of people who have the exact problem that you solve. They don't just like what you're offering. They absolutely need it. They're the ones who look at your product or service and think, wow, it feels like they made this just for me. All right, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually find these people? Well, it all starts by getting incredibly specific. We're talking about moving way beyond a broad category and drilling down into what's called a micro niche. This is your first real practical step. So the process itself is pretty straightforward. You start with your general market. That's your niche. And then you start slicing it up. You break it down into these smaller, really distinct groups based on what they specifically want or fear. We'll call these your demand buckets. Let's look at a concrete example to make this really clear. So take a huge, broad topic like investment. You can see you're not just targeting investors. That's way too big. Instead, you're targeting a very specific psychology. Think about it. Someone who's obsessed with generating passive income is playing a totally different game than a wealthy person whose number one fear is losing what they already have. They need different messages, different products, different everything. Each one of these is its own little world, its own micro niche. So once you've picked out your micro niche, the next piece of the puzzle is just as critical. See, it's not enough to know who you're serving. You have to be crystal clear on the what. What is the specific transformation you provide for them? You've got to define the change you bring into their lives. This is the question you have to ask yourself, and it forces you to think way beyond just features or services. It makes you focus on the outcome. What's their life like before you, and what does it look like after? What's that specific result they can count on? And check this out. It's a perfect example of what that looks like. This isn't just investment advice. It's so much more specific. The micro niche, executives or professionals. The demand, passive income. And the change you create, you give them the clarity and security to avoid making a huge, costly mistake. It's so powerful because it's so incredibly focused. Okay, let's just pull back for a second and look at the playbook so far. It really just boils down to a clear 3-step process. This is your blueprint. First, you get laser-focused and choose your micro-niche. Second, you define that tangible change you deliver for them. And third, you use that information to build an offer that feels like it was tailor-made just for them. All right, so you know who you're talking to, you know what you're offering them. Now for the big question, where are they? Where do you actually find them? Well, they tend to fall into 2 key groups, and knowing the difference will completely shape your content strategy. There are search-driven customers and there are attention-driven customers. And you have to get this distinction right because it changes everything. Search-driven customers have a problem right now, and they know it. They're actively on Google or TikTok search or even ChatGPT, typing in questions, looking for an answer. Your job is to create the content that is the answer they're looking for. On the flip side, you have attention-driven customers. They're not looking for you. They're just scrolling through their feeds. Here, your strategy is totally different. You have to grab their attention and be consistently in front of them with great content and ads you stay top of mind. So let's bring this all home. When you combine that laser-focused micro-niche with a clearly defined transformation and then tailor your strategy for either search or attention, you build this powerful, efficient engine for attracting your perfect customer. You finally stop wasting all that energy on the 99%, and you can focus everything you've got on that 1% who truly matter. So, to wrap this all up, here are the key things you need to remember. First, stop the broad stroke marketing. It's not working. Instead, find your smallest viable audience by identifying a super specific micro niche. Then, get really clear on the precise change you make in their lives. Figure out if they're searching for you or if you need to get their attention, and create your content accordingly. After that, it's all about being consistent. And when you find something that works, you amplify it. And that leaves us with one final and honestly the most important question for you to answer. This isn't just some business school exercise. Think about what you do, what you're passionate about, what your skills are. Who is that one specific group of people that you can serve better than anyone else? What is the smallest viable audience you could start helping today? Because the answer to that question, well, it could change absolutely everything.